no sound. I'll find valid in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky. You're the night sky hiding behind dark gray clouds. I can't figure you out now. I see your blue. There is so much cold in you, and the silence is so loud when you go. I just stay dancing with my shadow all day. Watch the time. I can't find the point where our two paths align. But you're the night sky. I'm trying to see your stars, but I've always feared the dark. Now I see brightly. I can feel your silence. You always feel so far when your stars have burnt out and your heart makes no sound. I'll find valid in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky.
Alrighty. Up to the main screen. Okay, hello everybody. How's everybody doing today? Alrighty, we're back. Hey Megan, what's going on? How's it going? Glad you could make it out here today. Wasn't sure anybody was gonna be in chat, but hey, that's cool. Welcome back, welcome back. Hey Anna, how are you doing this morning? Hopefully you're doing well. Did you guys finish up the test and stuff? I hope you guys did. Finish up the test there. So yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Been a rough, I don't know, yesterday was pretty rough. So hopefully today will be slightly a bit better. So hopefully planning to finish up the test today. Well, that's when it's due. I was gonna do more homework, but the website wouldn't load. The website loads just fine. I tested it out this morning. I know that it works just fine because I tested it out now. So I know that the website is up. Good morning, Ziggy. How's it going? Gemma, good morning to you. Good morning. Well, actually, good afternoon to you, Gemma. Good afternoon. I hope you're doing well, Gemma. Yeah, it's evening time. Yeah, it's about what time is it over there? About 5? So yeah, 5 in the afternoon or evening, depending on how dark it is outside. I hope you're doing good though. It's been a today. Hopefully, will be a better day. How much homework do you have left there, Megan? By the way, out of curiosity. Yeah, it's a cute 4:54 p.m. All right. First time I've heard time. Oh, you finished last week. Okay, that's good. That's good. First time I heard time called cute, but hey, there's a first time for everything. I like autocorrect. It's the best. Oh man. Gotta say today, like, it's actually pretty nice out there today. It's been really good weather. The sun has been out here, in the Chicagoland area anyway. It's been a very nice out here. Been about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So, I mean, it's been pretty nice out here. You're talking, between, 15, 20 C. It's not terrible. I mean, it's a little cool, but still, you know what? It's getting there to be springtime. It's getting to be summer, hopefully right around the corner in a month or so. And we should be good to go right after that. Usually May time here in Chicago, like mid-May is when the weather starts heating up a little bit more. Um, so hopefully that the weather here will start getting better and it'll be nice and crispy, so I can turn my, toasty brown, and make sure that this gets dialed up just a little bit. That's kind of important. Oh, that's wonderful. Good, good. It's a good series. It's a good series. The art style is really good for that series. Very, very good. Good morning, Cheska. How are you? I hope you got your test done there, Cheska. Hopefully everybody's gotten my math lab to work out there. So I've tested it out twice. Um, yeah, it's a pretty unusual drawing style, that's for sure. Yeah, so it's about the same. Yeah, I would say that's fair, Gemma. Um, yeah, it's been a I hope that my math lab has been working out for you guys. I'm pretty good, Cheska. I'm doing pretty good. I've been working out with my math lab there. I tested it yesterday. It was working fine. I tested this morning. It was working fine. I'm like, okay, it's working fine. So I don't think that that should be a big issue. At least I don't. At least I don't think so. But I could be wrong. What do you guys? What have you guys been going through? I guess. Sorry about that, guys. I'm gonna turn down the music there. A little ambiance is never a bad thing. Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, remember I'm still a noob when it comes to this comes to streaming. So oh, now you decide to go off again? Okay, fine. Skip. Fine. No worries. All right, that's good. Let's see who else is about a couple minutes away. Getting started here. Ooh, better. Where are we? Okay. You finished college for Easter today, which I'm happy about. Very good. Very good. Is Easter weekend this weekend? Is it Easter weekend this weekend? I always forget. Is Easter this weekend or no? Is it already that time of year? Wow. That was fast. Wow. That's fast. Jeez. Time really picks up. I didn't realize it was already Easter weekend. Wow. Man. You have to work on Easter. Ah, that's such a bummer. Oh. Most people, I was assuming Easter, very much, go to church or, do the things that you got to do at church or whatever. Better get holiday pay if you're gonna work on Easter. Yeah, get your 2 times pay. Heck yeah. You're not gonna complain about that. I would say you should demand getting 2 times pay. Don't go to church? Fair enough. Some people do for Easter Sunday, so I don't go to church either, mind you. But I know some people very traditionally like, hey, we go celebrate Easter in church. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. So if you celebrate Easter in a religious way or in another way, that's perfectly acceptable on this channel. Not a problem. Or if you don't celebrate Easter at all, that's also acceptable. Because, well, I don't really celebrate Easter at all, so. But Easter eggs aren't such a bad thing. So what do you got plans? Plans for the weekend, everybody? Hopefully you got something planned for the weekend. It's a nice celebrating Easter with your dad you've not seen for bloomin' ages. All right. Well, I hope that you enjoy Easter with your dad. I think that's wonderful. You get to reconnect with somebody who's important in your life, and you'll be able to hopefully enjoy yourself. I think that's wonderful. Very good, very good. All right. Let's see here. Wow. Okay. 11:02. I think it's time to go ahead and get this party rolling here. Let's go ahead and get going here. All right. Yeah. I hope you enjoy yourself, Gemma. Very much so. Very much so. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to do this intro. We got to get started here with at least some new material. That's what's going down. I'm assuming that there are lower numbers today because everybody's trying to do the test at the last minute, like all those master procrastinators do. So that's okay. Guess they'll have to deal with it. All right. Um. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's go get going here. All right. Let's do this. Okay, let's get started today. Welcome back to Wednesday. Hope yeah, it's me too. There you go, Mega Toaster. Hopefully, everybody had a nice couple days. Yeah, you better do it. Look, make sure to do the practice test first. I will guarantee one thing: if you try the practice test before you do the real test, there, Toaster, you will get a better grade. If you just go in blind, well, it's going to be much tougher. So the practice test is pretty much exactly like the test. So, yeah, it's 25 questions. So, again, got to get it done by 11:59. All right, good. Did your practice yesterday? Did that practice test? Then hopefully it should go just fine. I should see scores populating my grade book, hopefully. So, if not, well, I gave you guys a couple chances to get it done in plenty of time. So, I'm going to have to be like, hmm. Make sure you do finish the homework as well. So homework is also due. All right. In any case, all right. So today, ladies and gentlemen, today we're gonna pick up where we left off last time. Last time we finished up chapter 8. I didn't do one example there from chapter 8. What's the difference between doing the practice test than the real test instead of just attempting the real test twice? Well, one thing about the practice test there, Cool Dad, to be fair, is that in the practice test, I give you all the available options on the practice test. So, view an example, help you solve this. So, it gives you a good template to know exactly what to expect for the test. Okay, so um, that is one benefit of doing the practice test. And the second thing is exactly as Megan has stated here correctly, you also do get extra credit for trying the practice test. So depending on how you do the practice test, I did give out bonus points. Although this is kind of said, this has kind of been unsaid a little bit. A little bit. Yeah, now it's been said. So, if you didn't try the practice test on the first exam, well, you didn't get any bonus points, but you have a chance to get bonus points now. So, again, not only is there an incentive to check out the practice test, again, the real test won't have the view and example and stuff, but you try the practice test out, give yourself a nice little extra credit padding there, and then yeah. So there you go. Simple as that. If you've already checked D2L there, you'll see exactly how that's been kind of meted out in terms of bonus points. So for yourself. And there you go. Simple, simple, simple. Hopefully that makes sense. Anybody have any other questions about that? Again, due at 11:59 tonight, everybody. So again, especially true. Test is due at 11:59 p.m. Today. Yeah. Remember, the maximum amount of bonus points you can get on the practice test is 10. So you can get 10 bonus points, by the way, for doing the practice test. Maximum of 10. So, any other questions before we move on? You guys are a little quiet today. Oh, All right, we're gonna go ahead and move forward then with stuff, and let's go ahead and see what we're working with. Yeah, 9. All right. Hey. All right, so we're gonna go to the big board here for today. Let's go ahead and check it out, and let's see what we're working with. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start off here in section 8.2. This is kind of what we discussed here last time. We discussed about how to do, normal CDF with the population proportion. Now, I didn't cover one question here from last time, so I want to talk about that here today. And then we'll move on here into chapter 9. So this is a pretty quick example here, but we'll take a little time to kind of at least talk about this. All right, so we'll do 24 here. All right, so 24 says, a researcher studying ADHD amongst teenagers in a random sample of 100 teenagers aged 13 to 17 asked them whether or not they've ever been prescribed medicine for ADHD. So they give a sample proportion of teenagers who respond. How many more teenagers aged 13 to 17 does the researcher need to sample if 90% of all teenagers have never been prescribed or 95% have never been prescribed? Okay, so how exactly does this work here in this instance? We need to, they gave 100, they say, okay, how many more people should we sample in order to basically do the same thing that we did here last time, which was basically fit it within the context of a sample proportion. All right, now you're probably wondering exactly how does that happen? Well, we're going to need to use just one little factoid here in order to actually get this done. So let's go ahead and take a look at that factoid here. And it has stuff relating to do with what we discussed here last time. All right. So if you remember last time here, one of the important parts that we discussed here last time were the assumptions that we had to make in order to actually say, hey, we can use the normal distribution. All right. So that was one of the things that we discussed here last time. Specifically, the one thing that we discussed here last time is that this has to be true. NP times 1 minus P has to be bigger than or equal to 10. All right, so this has to be true in order for us to actually say, hey, you know what? If this isn't true, then I can't assume that this follows the same normal distribution stuff, and I can't do my like normal CDF or inverse norm stuff. So I'm like, all right. So basically, here for 24A, it says, all right, let's say 90% of the teenagers said they'd never been prescribed ADHD medicine. So basically, that's saying P here is equal to 0.90. So all we have to do is do a little bit of simple algebra here, and we should be able to solve for n here using this equation that we see up top. So we have n times 0.9 times 1 minus 0.9, and that has to equal, let's make that equal to 10. And this is all we have to do here for this. So let's take a look here on what happens. The algebra out here real quick. We have 0.9 times 0.1, 10. All right, and we'll go ahead and actually break out the calculator here because I'll need that today anyway. All right. Okay, there we go. For some reason that took a little more time than I thought. All right, so let's go ahead and just multiply here. 0.9 times 0.1. All right, so that's 0.09. So we have 0.09 n equals 10. We'll divide by 0.09 on both sides. All right, here, and then we'll see what we get here. So we get 10 divided by 0.09. So here we get 111. All right, this is what we get here for this one. So 111. Now, what's important here for this is, I want to make sure here, is that notice this says 111.11. So what we're going to do here specifically is, very important note here is you always round up. Okay, so be sure that you always make sure that you have that there. In this case, is that, again, note round up. Okay, so in this instance here, since we're rounding up, then this is going to turn into 112. So based on the context of the problem here, all right, based on the context of the problem here, if you see, we already took a sample of 100 teenagers right from the get-go. So how many more do we need at the end of the day? Well, we're just going to take 112, subtract it by that 100, and so all we need is 12 more to satisfy this part here. So 12 more is your final answer for this problem. Okay. And all you have to do is rinse and repeat with 95%. Instead of using 0.9 for part B anyway, you'd use P is equal to like 0.95. And then you'd find your answer the same exact way as we just did from before. And you get a slightly different answer there, of course, but again, the process is exactly the same. All right, are there any questions about that? Hope that makes sense there about that last little bit there from section 8.2, and we'll move on from there. But are there any questions about that guy? No. Okay. All right. Good stuff. All right. Okay. So next. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and go to a website here really quick. Now, it's not the greatest website in the whole wide world because most people hate this stuff. But we're going to go to Real Clear Politics. Now, mind you, I'm not going to be talking about politics as that's something that I don't do. But one thing that is important in politics that usually is done quite often that is related to statistics here specifically is basically polling numbers. That's one of the things that they talk about quite often is, say, how much support for a candidate that there would be in, say, a political election or whatever. Okay. Or, for example, here, how much do you approve or disapprove of the president doing his job? Okay, that's a pretty common political poll that's done quite often. So, okay, let's just click on this first one here. Okay. Now, what is important here is that there's a spread. Now, the thing is that they obviously want to get a good cross section of the population to see how many people approve or disapprove of, say, in this case, the president in this particular instance. Now, what is important though is what we're going to look at here in chapter 9 is we're going to be looking at confidence intervals. Now, what are confidence intervals here? Confidence intervals are like these polling numbers that you see on screen. So let me make this a bit bigger here. So the thing is that we're going to look at, say, a sample size. In this case, this place took 1,167 registered voters. All right. You have people who said, yeah, I approve, or people who said disapprove. It doesn't matter. I don't care about that part. What does matter here, though, is that also included usually in some of these polls, maybe not every single one of these polls on this, but we could also see that there is going to be, say, a margin of error, right? Again, this may not reflect the entirety of the population. Okay, so this reflects a cross section of the population, a sample, right? Of 1,167 people said 52% approve of President Biden, 41% disapprove of President Biden, but there's a margin of error. Okay, and we want to see exactly how confident we are based on that length uh, and based on that confidence level of confidence, excuse me, and of course depending on how many people that we actually ask this question to. And we're going to, of course, move away from politics here because we don't want to talk about that forever. All right, so let's go to section 9.1 here today. All right, and we're going to talk all about what that's going to entail. So let's go to our notes here. And what we're going to be doing here in section 9.1 is we're going to be using the same concept that we worked on in the previous chapter here in section 8.2. So these two go together very well. And that is because we're going to still use that same proportion that we had discussed here last time. So just as a friendly reminder about what we did on Monday, again, what is the population proportion? As we mentioned here, that P here is the population proportion, and P hat here is reflective of the sample proportion, where X is the number of people who said yes, and N is the sample size here. Okay, so that is basically what that is. Okay, we'll be still using that notation here in some capacity, but again, we're going to be using it in slightly a different way here in this section compared to the last one. All right, so let's take a look here at number 2. Number 2 says, what assumptions must we take for constructing a confidence interval for the population proportion P? So we have to make two assumptions here, as you can see here for number 2. Actually, I'll just put it up here on the big screen, full size. So the first one here is very similar to what we did here last time. We said NP times 1 minus P is bigger than or equal to 10. So that's perfectly fine here. That's not a problem. So that same thing that we discussed here just a second ago still applies here in this section as well for confidence intervals. And then letter B is where the interesting part lies, is you actually having a big sample size is good, but you don't want to actually ask too many people. That's actually not too good either, because if you want to extrapolate it to a population, maybe asking too many people doesn't necessarily get you to reflect the entirety of the population. It's actually can be a little bit more prone to bias if you ask too many people sometimes. Um, so in this case here, the sample size n here is less than or equal to 5% of the overall population. So that is another thing that you can keep in mind there. All right. So what we're going to look at here is we're going to look at number 3. Let's take a look at number 3 here. How do we construct a confidence interval or a population proportion? All right, so we're going to use some calculator functions here. We're going to use, let's see, at least it says here, we're going to use one prop z to determine the confidence interval. And we're also going to determine the margin of error here. All right, and we'll talk about how to look at that here in order to talk, say, hey, we want to find the margin of error between, say, both ends of the interval. And we're also going to talk about one more thing here at the very bottom of this page is we're going to talk about the interpretation, because that's one thing that we want to discuss here. One thing that's going to be asked here in the homework and tests and stuff is going to say, hey, okay, you got two random numbers here on the calculator. Now you got to tell me what it means. Okay, you got to tell me, hey, what does this confidence interval mean? Okay, what's it going to talk about? Like, all right, that's fair. All right, let's go ahead and take a look and see, hey, what does that mean? All right. So let's take a look at an example problem here. We'll put it together, and we're going to see exactly how that works out. Okay, let's go to page. All right, go to page. Oh, all right, there we go. That should work just fine. Alrighty. So let's take a good look here at a couple of these questions here that we want to discuss. So let's look at, we could look at pretty much any one of these. So I don't know if it matters. Sure, let's look at 27. All right. Do I want to become famous? Why, no, I don't. But if you want to be banned, now you have. Congratulations. Uh, Wait, bring it back. Why? Why? Do you want to be famous, Cool Dad? Because I do not want to be famous. I mean, I don't want to be banned either, so that's also pretty bad. Uh, being famous is overrated, ladies and gentlemen. At least for me. If you want to be famous, you could do that on your own time. I mean, that's cool. I'm just streaming here on Twitch, and I'm just streaming math classes. So yeah. All right. Need some veggie juice after that. All right. Let's go ahead and do number 27. Let's do that here. All right. So, a random sample of 1,003 adult Americans was asked, "Do you pretty much think televisions are a necessity or luxury you could do without?" Of the 1,003 adults surveyed, 521 indicated that televisions are a luxury they could do without. I agree with that. All right. Let's take a good look here at letter C. We're going to construct and interpret a 95% confidence interval for the population proportion of adult Americans who believe that televisions are a luxury they could do without. Okay, so let's discuss exactly how we can find this here. We're just going to need a couple key pieces of information that we're going to write down, and then we'll show that off in the calculator. All right. So in this instance here, for number 27, what we want to have happen here is we first want to go ahead and copy down a few important things here. Number one, we're going to need to know what x and n are. Okay, so we need to know what x is, we need to know what n is. All right, so first and foremost here, based on number 27 here, what is x and what is n? Remember, x here is the number of people who said yes to the question. All right, yes in quotations. And n here is our sample size. So what is x equal to and what is n equal to in this problem? What's x equal to? What is n equal to here for number 27? What? Oh, yeah, that would be a problem. You can't. Oh, yeah, that. Yes. It's no wonder why you guys can't answer the question. It's because you can't even see the problem. Period. That would be that'd be slightly a big issue there, I'm sure. So let's try and move this. So let's try and reverse places here. I think maybe that'll be a bit easier. I can't see the numbers. Be like, yeah, I can totally understand that. There we go. I think that'll be easier. Now you can see it. It's okay if face cam's in the way. I know my face is. Demar, I'm not gonna argue with you, buddy. My face is ugly as hell. So yeah, I apologize that it got in the way there. I mean, I could take my face off. It's not a problem. All right. So x is 521. That's correct. And n is 1003. Okay, good. So 521 people said, "Yeah, I don't need a TV." Honestly, do you need a TV? I don't think you need a TV. Having a computer like this is just fine, you know. And all you need to do is get like streaming services now. You do? Wait, what? Why? Because of the kids? I'd be like, if it's because of the kids, I get it. Like, hey, I need to go watch kids shows. I'm cool with that. You know, I need to sit down and watch some what is it, Nick Jr. or whatever. So yeah, movies are fine though. Movies are fine, but you could also play movies on your on your computer. I don't know. It depends. Everybody's got a thing when it comes to the television. The kids are entertained. You have a TV because of Nintendo Switch? Okay, that's perfectly fine. I have a Nintendo Switch as well. My let's see here. I have my I have my Nintendo Switch right here. There you go. Ba-bam. All right. But I have it hooked up to my monitor here, so I can play. Do I play Deltarune? I am currently not playing Deltarune on this guy. On this guy, I am playing. Oh, turn on for me. Yeah. I got a few games on here, but the big games that I'm playing here is I'm playing Atelier Ryza 2, and I got Mario Maker 2. Those are the two games that I currently play on my Switch. So I played a bunch of Atelier games. Maybe you're I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Atelier games, but they're pretty fun. So can't really argue with that. Bro, you stream Mario Maker 2. That's legit, man. That's legit. Last day to get 3D All Stars. I remember, man. I've played so many Mario games in my life. It's ridiculous. From like when I first got my first Nintendo, with actual just OG Mario Brothers, when OG Mario Brothers was like OG Mario Brothers was $50. So I used to have this game for Sega Genesis way back when it was Shining Force 2. One of the best RPGs you could ever play. It was super fun. Undertale is so good. Oh my god, Undertale is so good. Oh, that's such a great game. Viewer level is the easiest way to pick up viewers. Yeah, that's true. Oh, we're here to learn stuff. Supposedly, in this class, we learn things, right? And then, of course, you guys are supposed to do work, behind the scenes at the very last minute. That's the premise here. The expectation for you to procrastinate until like 10 o'clock at night and then hopefully get 25 questions done in about 1 hour and 59 minutes is kind of the expectation that I have. So I'm like, okay, that's what this stream is for. You play Super Smash Brothers with your friends. Very good. Who's your character, Ziggy? Is it Meta Knight? Is Meta Knight your character? I mean, I don't know. I haven't played Smash in so long, but is it Banjo? Banjo's not a great character, but OG Mario Party, that's legit. I loved OG Mario Party. That was a great game. Um, Main Link, but Ridley and Cinnamoroar and Wii Fit Trainer. Yeah, Wii Fit Trainer is actually pretty wild. You like Captain Falcon? I like Captain Falcon from the original game. Ooh, Captain Falcon original game was devastating. Him and Ganondorf, man. Along with Fox. Oh, Fox and Falco though are the worst characters in OG Smash. They're just the worst. Disgusting. Totally disgusting. All right. We have to finish this problem though. All right. So here we're given in this part C here, you're gonna have to do a 95% confidence level. All right. So it says construct and interpret a 95% confidence level. All right. So what we're going to put here is that the confidence level, that's the third thing that we'll need to find here, the C level here, which is the confidence level, is going to be the 0.95 here that we're going to need here for this problem. All right. Okay, that's okay. What are you doing? All right. Anyway, so what I want you to do now is we're gonna go to the calculator here, ladies and gentlemen, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look on how to find this confidence interval here using the calculator. We're gonna go ahead and use the function in the calculator of one prop zint. Now, where exactly do we find that here in this case? We're gonna go over to stat here, and we're gonna go over to tests. Well, I could guarantee. I'm not doing anything, Ziggy. I swear. I swear, buddy. I'm not doing a thing. I haven't touched my stuff. I'm not sure what's going on your end there. Um, I promise you, once the stream starts, I don't touch any settings to make stuff. Okay, but really, seriously, it was hard enough trying to get this stream to work on certain days. So I know for a fact I'll need a stronger computer at some point, but I can't really get one right now. Because the parts are too hard to find. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to, all right, what's important here, all right, ladies and gentlemen, is this is extremely important. We want one prop, we're going to want one prop z int, okay? So be very careful about this here. One prop z int, not z test, but z int, and that can be found here in letter A. Pardon me very much, everybody. All right. Apologies about that. Thank you. Oof. Thank you very much. Oh, Tina's here too. Hello. Thank you, thank you. All right, so we're gonna go to one prop z int here in this case. All right, and notice here for one prop z int. All right, thank you, Ziggy. Notice we have an x, we have an n, and we have the confidence level. So we have the three things that we need here for this particular guy. I'm gonna run with it because I don't know German at all. So put 521. We'll put 1003 for n. That's going to be our sample size. Our confidence level is 0.95, low 0.95. And we'll go ahead and calculate it out. Okay, so this is what you should see here on the screen right now. Really quick here, I want everybody who's doing this on the calculator here, please type done in the chat if you see exactly what I have here on my screen. All right, so please type in done on the chat if you see what I have here on my screen. I mean, his name is Megatoaster, so dine is actually correct. I mean, it is the correct grammar, you know, in the context of toasters. Because when a toast pops up, then you're ready to eat it. You know? I mean, it makes sense. To do that again? Sure. I'm gonna do that again. Okay. So I want you to hit the stat key. Hit the stat key. Athena and Ziggy, hit the stat key. Go over to tests. I want you to scroll to letter A, which is one prop z int. So one prop z int, int. I want you to hit enter on that. You'll see this little sub menu here. You want to go ahead and hit 521 for our x, because that's what was given in the problem here. 1003 for n, and our confidence level of 0.95, because we have a 95% confidence level. We'll hit calculate here, this instance, and this is what we got. Let me know, Athena and Ziggy, once you guys have that on your calculators. Get on. Okay. All right. So you both got that perfect. Okay. All right. So there's a few things that we're going to look here on the screen that is going to be very important. First of all, let's at least acknowledge the result that we have here. So we're just going to write this in here, but these two guys will have an important meaning here in just a second. Just going to write in, this is the confidence interval here that we wanted to find. That's perfectly fine. Now let's talk about the number underneath. Now the number underneath says p hat. All right, in this case here, it's 0.5194. Okay, so that's what this p hat means. This p hat here is 0.5194. Now, what does p hat here mean here in this instance in a confidence interval? This is what we call a point estimate. Okay, so this 0.5194 is what we call the point estimate. Essentially, the point estimate is like right in the middle of the confidence interval. Okay, it's like the starting point here, because as I talked about here, in a confidence interval, we have a margin of error. When we talk about a margin of error, we either add by a margin of error or we subtract by that margin of error to get our confidence interval. But we need to start at some point in the middle. Well, the only way we know that is by finding this point estimate. So the point estimate's kind of the starting point, and we add and subtract by the margin of error to get the ends of our confidence interval at the end of the day. So the other thing that we can take away from this then is based on that fact is we can also find the margin of error. All you need to do is either take one of the ends of the interval and use the point estimate, and you can find out what the margin of error is. Now for ease of use here, I'm going to label this as MOE for margin of error. Margin of error here is, let's say I take the beginning part of the interval here, 0.48852. I just, all I have to do is take my point estimate here of 0.5194. Let's go. I'll go 5 decimal places to match the number of decimal places here, and I'll subtract that by 0.48852. Okay. So let's say that's what I want to see. I want to see my margin of error here. So let's go ahead and take a look at that here really quick. And so if we do that out here, we get 0.03092. Okay, so this is our margin of error here, would be roughly 3%. Okay, um, so that's essentially what we have going on here. Now you could do the same thing here, by the way, using the other end of the interval, by the way. So as an example here, you could also do it this way as well. This is also just as valid. You do it or 0.55036, which is the other end of the interval. You subtract that by the point estimate, 51944. And if you go ahead and do that out, you will get the same answer here of 0.03309. All right. So either way, you're going to get the same margin of error. Doesn't matter which end you go with. You should have the same margin of error. Point estimate's smack dab in the middle here. Okay. So there is that. Now, there is a second half to this problem here, and that's the more important part of this problem, because it's easy to go ahead and use these guys finding out some other information here because it's pretty much stated in one quick calculation. Now, the other half of this question, though, is where we want to kind of focus on here, and that is the interpretation of said confidence interval. How exactly do we interpret this confidence interval? All right. How exactly should we look at this, and what exactly does it mean here at the end of the day? Well, let's take a gander. Look back at the notes here for this. All right, so I'm going to change this up here for just a second. This will be for, I'm going to change this up here. Okay. All right, so this will be for number 27. Page, with page 403. All right. So what we want to do is we can follow the same template here for pretty much everything in this section. So stuff that I'll put in parentheses here are things that can change, okay? But pretty much it follows the same template regardless. It's just some things can change, of course, because the context can change. In this case here, we are 95%, again, can be any percentage, we are 95% confident that the proportion, all right, of all, portion of all, and in this case here, adult Americans think TV is a luxury, all right, is between 0.48852 and 0.55036. So between 48.852% and 55.036%. So essentially, that is basically what we're doing here in this instance in terms of how we can interpret said confidence interval. Of course, these numbers can change because, of course, that's just natural, and you could have literally any numbers in there. And again, you could just plop in the context of this problem here, which is the proportion of all adult Americans who think TV is a luxury. And that's pretty much it. So really, it's pretty simple once you go ahead and put the interpretation in the kind of the same templates over and over again. Now, of course, different things, different confidence intervals could represent different things. Okay, so we'll look at section 9.2 like next week, but it's like, okay, it has a different meaning if we look at that different confidence interval here. But for this section here, we're talking about the proportion in this instance. All right. Any questions about that so far? Actually, any questions? All right. Moo. All right. No, in Spanish as well. Oink. Yes. All right. Okay. Now, there's one more thing we're going to focus on here in section 9.1, and that is the other half of things, which is basically trying to find a necessary sample size. So that's what we're going to be doing here in this case here. Hey, Brianna, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Hola, Beck. ¿Cómo estás? All right. So we're going to look here at number 4. All right, number 4 says, how do we find the necessary sample size? Now, the necessary sample size here is going to be dependent on if we're given a p or if we're not given a p. All right, so if we're given a p here with the margin of error, or we're not given a p with the margin of error. So just depending on the information that you're given here is essentially how we're going to approach each one of these problems here. So there's going to be formulas here associated with each circumstance. So if p is given, all right, with the margin of error, MOE, then the necessary sample size, which is n, is going to be p times 1 minus p. And then you have this funky thing here, the z of alpha over 2 over e, which is the margin of error. So I rewrote it in terms of actual letters with the p's already put in. So we have that set to go. Now, one of the things that is important here, and I want to point this out here because this isn't going to be the last time we're going to see this necessarily, is this idea of a critical value. Now, this critical value here is not something that you can necessarily find via a calculator. It's just something that will be associated with, in this case here, a particular percentage, okay, confidence level. All right, so we'll be talking about that here in just a second. So there's a small little table here of critical values that I'm going to show off here about how you can go ahead and find and where this is going to be referenced and be able to be useful for a problem like this. The second case here is if P isn't given, And basically you notice that the critical value here is going to be also, in this case, used. Only this time here you have a flat 0.25%. It's basically like a 50-50 proposition. So since you're not given a P here, they just assume 50%. Now, the critical values here that you can find, not on page 425, that's the other book. These critical values, if you don't remember this, and you don't have to memorize these, by the way. So this isn't something that you have to get like, oh, I gotta automatically know this stuff. Where did it come from? No, no, no. You don't have to memorize this stuff here, but this can be found on specific page here that you find this. 396 on your book. So page 396 on your book here. You can find the major critical values for 90, 95%, and 99%. Confidence intervals can be found on page 396, or at the bottom of table number 7 in the back of the textbook there. You can also find it there as well. All right, but the critical values here in this case is 90% is 1.645, 95% is 1.960, and 99% is 2.575. Now, one of the things why these values actually change is because of one of the things that one of the notes here. Let's talk about this note here. Is that if you have a higher confidence level, that means if you have a higher confidence level, so say a 99% confidence level, you want to be 99% sure about something. If you want to be 99% sure, 99% confident about something, you will have a wider confidence interval because you have to include more as part of that bubble to be 99% sure. If you want to be 90% sure, you can just have it in a small box because you have a lot more leeway to be wrong, right? 99%, you don't have a lot of leeway to be wrong, so you need a bigger bubble to include more numbers in, right? That's basically why these critical values here are different as well. Okay, so yeah, that work? Whoops, that was. um, is this okay? Oh yeah, that's okay. All right. So let's do I teach Math 101? I have taught Math 101 plenty of times. Math 101 is not too bad. Pretty chill. Most of the time in Math 101, I'd pretty much goof off for about 3 months. So, well, then again, I pretty much goof off for 3 months in every class. I mean, that's kind of true. Math 101 is pretty fun, though. I don't know yet, actually. I haven't received word about what I'm doing in the fall yet, so I don't know what I don't know what Harper's going to be doing in the fall. So whether they're going to have hybrid classes or not. So I haven't heard anything about that. I'm pretty sure that if it's like Elgin, where they're having mostly online classes for the fall, then probably they're going to follow suit with that. So everything's still up in the air over there because they need to make a administrative decision regarding to that. So trust me when I say this, and this goes for everybody. Like I said, I wish I was teaching face to face. Like teaching face to face would be a heck of a lot easier, 10 times out of 10. Uh, but the situation is what it is. So, hopefully we could get back to actual face to face classes in the spring, next spring, that is. Um, once hopefully many people get once supply of vaccines and all this stuff kind of hopefully pans out, and people can hopefully get back to somewhat of a normal state. So I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. The class would have been a blast. Absolutely 100%. I like doing things in person because I just like the interaction with people and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll let you know if I'm doing 101. So yeah, trust me, I goof off all the time when it comes to actually teaching classes because most of the time, if you guys are looking at this while I'm teaching this stuff here, right, is that and I even put in the description in my bio there that math is a super dry subject. All right, very super dry. All right, it is super dry. All right, it can be incredibly boring at times. All right, it is what it is. Okay, I'm not gonna lie here. Let's not kid ourselves. Math is a super dry subject and can be incredibly boring. All right, but you got to make it at least somewhat enjoyable. If you're gonna do something boring, at least make it somewhat enjoyable for yourself. You don't want to be like sitting there all the time just listening to rambling on and on and on about BS. Like I know it sucks, okay? I know I get it. All right, we get. I know for a lot of you, you take the class, you're like, I got to get this done out of the way. I'm like, it's a requirement. Okay, cool. I get that. I know exactly where you're coming from on that issue. I'm just hoping and along the way you learn a little bit. All right. I'm not asking for much. Okay, mind you, I'm not. I'm not. Y'all said twice in the bio. Yep. Yeah, I totally get it. Okay, it's not like I'm not aware. Like, yeah, bro, this subject sucks. Like, fine, sucks. It does have purpose, though. I can tell you that. And if you learn something about that purpose, that ain't so bad. All right, you learn like I said. My whole goal is you learn just a smidge. It's just a smidge. All right, I'm not asking for the whole world here. I'm not asking for bam, epiphanies. Like, okay, maybe sometimes I'll blow your mind. Maybe not. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you got to try and make it fun. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, why? Why am I doing this with my life? I mean, I remember being in high school and I had a math teacher and he's a super nice guy, right? But I just would fall asleep in 5 minutes because he just like, yeah, this voice is just like, bro, you're great for resting on my desk for like and nodding on and off for about 50 minutes. I'm like, man, like I like you, but man, it's hard to learn when you're just like, uh, you know, like I can't do much about that. It's like, get my pillow, bro. Yeah, but yeah, think about it this way, okay? This is back in the 90s, okay? So there isn't like a Nintendo Switch back then. There's nothing to play with outside of the program stuff on your calculator, which only came in like when I was a sophomore in high school. All right, so I mean, there wasn't much to do. You just kind of had to sit there and run with it. Well, now you can text and do all the same things, but yeah, you can imagine that there was nothing available, so you just had to sit there and be like, yeah. Get a little salty by the time 50 minutes were up. Oh my gosh. High school, man. All right. In any case. All right. Let's go ahead and finish this problem up here. Yeah, the math teacher for a few semesters ago who had the personality of tofu. What the heck? First of all, how would you describe? How would you describe the personality of tofu? Oh my gosh. Oh, I mean, I know I get what you meant. I just don't. Tofu man. It's just amazing. Just absolutely tasteless. It, it goes well with seaweed and misos, but overall, it doesn't really taste like a thing. Oh my goodness. Personality of tofu. I love it. Oh my gosh. Oh, oh my word. I'm dead too. Oh, that was too funny. That was too funny. I can't lie. That was too funny. Uh, sweet mercy. Yeah, I hope I don't have the personality of tofu though. I'm hoping that I don't match the tofu level. So just promise me, Ziggy, I'm not matching the tofu level. You know, at times I know it seemed like it's really monotonous. I get it, but I'm trying not to be tofu level. Right? Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. At least I'm in that territory. I don't want to be in Ziggy's tofu territory. I'm so worried now. Um, let's do. Gotta do this problem, man. Jeez. Jeez. All right. Reminder to myself. I gotta reminder to myself. Get some tofu. All right. remind not to be a personality one. All right. Let's do number 39 here. All right. Football fans, a television sports commentator wants to estimate the proportion of Americans who follow professional football. What sample size should be obtained if he wants to be within 3 percentage points with a 95% confidence if he uses a 2010 estimate of 53%, all right, or he doesn't use any prior estimates. Okay, let's do it. So, first of all, we want a couple of things here. We have a margin of error here of 3 points, 3 percentage points. So again, if we want to represent that, we're going to want a margin of error of 0.03. Okay, so 0.03 represents 3%. Okay? So don't forget to change that over to a decimal. Next, we have a confidence level here of 95%. All right, so we have a 95% here. All right, and we're given in part A anyway, we're given a P here in this instance. This P here is going to be 53%, or again, we want the decimal equivalent. So we're going to take 0.53 booleans. All right. Now, one of the things that is important here in this problem is that because of the formula here, let's go back to the formula here for just a moment. So go back to the formula here, we need a critical value. Okay, so we need a critical value to go along with this. So we're just going to look at our little chart here. And since we're working with a 95% confidence level, then our critical value here, which I'll just label it as crit value, our critical value here in this instance is 1.960. So now let's put it together here in the formula. Let's put all the pieces in place here, and let's see what we get. All right, so we get 0.53 times 1 minus 0.53 times the critical value, which is 1.960, divided by 0.03, and we're going to square that. So we want to, again, bip bop boop on the calculator here. So let's do that right now. Right. So 0.53 times 1 times 1 minus 0.53. All right, and then we'll multiply that by what we have here. We got 1.96 divided by 0.03, and we're going to square that. Okay, so we're just going to do it all at once. We can get away with that. And so here we're going to get 1063.27. Let's write that down here in our guy. Again here, oops, 27. Sorry. So again, in this case here, we're going to round up. Okay, so we're going to get 1064. So again, round up. Okay, so don't forget to round up here. Pretty important, just like we did in the previous problem. All right, so that's the first part there, done and dusted. Okay, let's do the next one then. So the next one says you don't have a given estimate. So there's no estimate. So all right, so with no estimate given, we're going to go ahead and use the second half. We'll use the second one here, which says use 0.25 times the critical value divided by the margin of error and square it. All right, we're just going to go ahead and use the information that we are given here. And we're just going to use our margin of error. We'll use our critical value here, and we'll use 0.25 instead of the other guys. So we'll use 0.25 as a baseline here times our critical value 1.960 divided by 0.03 quantity squared. And let's take a look at what we get here, because I don't know. I honestly don't. So 0.25 times 0.96, 0.03, and we'll square that. So in this case here, we get 1067.1 repeating. Or again, correct. That's correct, Kristen. 1068. Okay, so they're pretty close. All right, because of course, you have a larger margin of error, then they can tend to be closer. But if you have a smaller margin of error, then it will be certainly not as close. So, all right, and well, that and the fact that P is actually closer to 50%, so it's kind of more set in the middle. But if P is much larger, smaller, those will differ by quite a bit. Okay, and that's how we can find our necessary sample sizes if we're given a P or we're not given a P. And yeah, that's it. Pretty much. Yeah, kind of. Any questions? Anybody? Any questions? Nope. Nope. No. Okay, that's fair. Personality of tofu. All right. All right. So that is what I wanted to cover here in section 9.1. Section 9.1. Holy cow. Holy cow. And maybe I should do. I remember when I used to. I think last. I have shown Mario Maker on stream before, so I'm not very good at Mario games anymore, but I can still play Mario Maker a little bit. I don't know. What do you guys think? But if I get this thing set up again, my old Elgato, I'll have to do it on the next stream. But if you guys want to see me play Mario Maker, you can do that. What homework should we do here? So the homework should be up to section 9.1. Should be what we're up to right now. However, if you're doing it for the test is up through chapter 7. All right. Yeah, you think I should do that, Athena? Okay, we could do that. Okay. Do really hardcore so I can flex my non-existent Mario skills. I can guarantee you they don't really exist. All right. All right. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen. So you use the one prop Zian to find the confidence interval if it's not given? If what's not given? Yep, time for that test. For those of you who haven't done the test yet, remember that's due today. Today at 11:59 at night. Today. Okay? Do not forget about that, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget about that. That's very important. So, yeah, so one prop Zian finds the confidence interval. What we just found here specifically, Kristen, is, let me go back to the main screen here for a moment. What we found here was the necessary sample size. So this is that's what number 4 was talking about, a sample size. Whereas the first question talked about here finding a confidence interval. You already did the test last week? All right. And then you're definitely ahead of the game, Ziggy. That was good. Do you teach anything above stats to take another math class? I have taught 104 before. What am I teaching next semester? Might be doing what am I doing next semester? Crap. Yeah, so one prop Zian is just for finding the confidence interval, not the sample size. You don't have to use that for the sample size. I have totally forgotten. I signed up for classes and then I let me check actually, because I sent it a while to get back. Let me see here. What is this? Let me check here. It's checking my Man, why am I blanking out what I actually did for that? Yeah, so next semester I am doing I get to pick some classes, Megan, of which I can teach. It just depends what fits with my schedule, that's all. Yeah, I'm just doing stats next semester there, Athena. I'm doing 102 and 120, but I have done classes like Calculus 1 and whatnot. I've done 104. I've done pretty much every class up to Calculus 1. So, I will be teaching in the summer as well. I think I have college algebra, and I have business calc in the, yeah, I want to say, yeah, I think I have college algebra and business calc in the summer. So, those are the 2 classes I will be doing in the summer as well. So if you want to go ahead and sign up for college algebra or whatever, then I'll be doing that definitely in the summer there, or business calc, which is I believe 126. Algebra is 112. That's correct, Athena. I will be teaching that in the summertime. So I am definitely on board for summertime college algebra. All right, Megan, you have a wonderful weekend. You take care of yourself, all right? I'm gonna be here till I'll be here for another hour and a half. So if you want to sign up for it in the summertime, please, I'll encourage you to. I'll be looking forward to seeing you again in the summertime for another 2 months of me. Really? Really? I have a slightly better personality than Tofu, but I'm not sure by how much. tolerable. Fair enough. Jessica, you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next week, okay? We'll see you next week. Oh, goodness. Uh, at least I'm tolerable. That's fine. Kristen, you have a great weekend, okay? Take care of yourself, all right? Everybody who's leaving here, please have yourself a wonderful weekend. I'm still going to stick around here because we got another class here at 12:30 in about 18 minutes. Yes, you better do that, Toaster. I expect good things, okay? Make sure you get that done. Make sure you have everything saved before 11:59. All right, make sure you have it submitted and saved in the whole 9 yards, okay? Otherwise, if you do try it after 11:59, then it won't count. You don't want that. So, good luck, okay? Hopefully you do well. All right, Toaster? Yeah, for those of you doing the test tonight, I wish you good luck. Hopefully you guys do well. Yeah, man, I'm pulling behind you too. I take no joy in failing people. Absolutely no joy. All right? I'm not here to fail you. All right? You'll get the grade that you earn, but I have no joy in failing people whatsoever. I want people to do as best as they possibly can. Oh, really? I didn't know that was a thing. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. All right. All right, for those of you sticking around here, I will be back in roughly 10 minutes or so. Maybe a little less than 10 minutes. And I will be back here for my next class, okay, for our 12:30 course, all right? But we'll be back in just a little bit. Take it easy, Ziggy. We'll see ya. Okay, hello, hello, hello. All right, I'm back. Hello. Hello, everyone. At least everybody who's left. Alrighty. How's it going, everybody? Hopefully we'll have some people here for this second class. Oh, some people show up for the second class, so that's fun. Hopefully have everything set to go fairly soon. Alright, we'll be starting in about 5 minutes. Go ahead and get going right after that for our second go around. Check that here. Alright. Okay. 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 Hey, Yusuf, my friend. How are you doing, my dude? How are things? I'm doing good today. Today has been a pretty good day so far. I hope you're doing well today, Yusuf. Are things going well with you? Good, good. Hopefully you've been having a little bit of fun, enjoying your time. What you been up to lately, my friend? Temperature's about temperature on my end is about 15 to 20 degrees C. So it's been kind of hovering around there for the past week or so. But it's going to get warmer. It's going to get more and more warmer, yeah. So, I mean, it's closer to... Let me check what it is now, actually. Hey, JD! How you doing? Hazelnut! Oh, yeah! Decide to make your way out. There you go. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, so it's closer to like 15 right now. 15 degrees C. So, how we all doing? Yeah, about 15 out here, Yusuf. Doing good. Okay, good. Did you guys do your test, or are you guys gonna do your test by tonight? Remember, the test is due today at 11:59, so be sure to save and submit before 11:59, so you get credit for that. All right, we're working on it. Yeah, about that. My math lab's working. Yeah, yeah. You know, don't forget the homework. Possibly associated with that. You know, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's almost done. Okay. All right. I trust it's almost done. If it's almost done, then that's exactly where I want you to be. All right. Don't forget, guys. Don't forget, ladies. You have the practice test. Don't forget, is worth bonus points. Okay, so if you do the practice test, that is worth some bonus points. That can be put on top of the test. So if you looked at D2L, the practice test, where was some bonus points there? It's pretty good. So never a bad thing, ladies. All right, perfect. And that's what's got to be done. You finish that practice test, get that regular test done, and then there you go. You got a winner chicken dinner with some bonus points. Extra mashed potatoes and gravy. Mom. Yes, yes, Hazelnut. The practice test is worth bonus points. It's kind of the one unwritten rule here that I don't talk about too much, but you come out to the streams, and I happen to mention it here. You know, worm. Does it apply to the homework or the test? So, a worm. I don't know what worm is, but I'm just gonna assume. I think you meant word, but okay, we're gonna go with that. It only applies to the practice test. Bonus points only apply to practice test. Woad. Woad is me. Oh. Hey, if the friends is saying, "Oh, what?" That's fair. You know the response to say, "Oh, what?" to worm. Then the response is chocobo. All right, that is the response. You say worm, I say chocobo. All right. Sounds good to me. I mean, worms and chocobo, they go together. They have to. There's no other thing that really goes together with worms and FF other than chocobos. Okay, maybe there's one other thing in Final Fantasy that makes sense with Worm. That's that annoying NPC of Alphanaud. Alphanaud is really annoying. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to say it. Alphanaud is really annoying at times. He gets better in Shadowbringers, thank goodness! Every time! Oh. But we don't really want to do anything. Why don't you do it for us? Thanks, Alphanaud. All the Scions are like, yeah, we gotta come together, we gotta do the work. And they do a little bit of work behind the scenes, but you're doing all the work. All the work you're doing. They're like, oh yeah, but we get all the spoils. All us Scions. Okay, bro. Like, come on. Like, why don't I get the fancy house, okay? Why don't I get the fancy house like Alphanaud does? Come on, man. That's not fair. Connor, thank you for donating the positive energy. I approve of all of this. I hope you're doing well, Connor. No, I know he has character depth, okay? But after playing like 2 or 3 expansions, just like, bro, all the science is just like, I love you guys, but it's just like, bro, seriously, you guys can be super exhausting at times. Yeah, they were so butchered pretty bad in Heaven's Word. I played through that whole questing campaign. It's just brutal. Just the writing was good. Character's great, but it's just like, ugh. Yeah. Yeah, we're doing good, Connor. We're doing good. We're about to get started here. About to get going here with the newest material, but just waiting for a few more people to come on in. So just pause on. All right. Yeah. Yeah, you can't win them all with every expansion. But I will say this. I will say this about Square Enix. That Square Enix does a good job actually listening to their customer base about what should be changed and what should not be changed. So, well, yeah, I'm not starting 2 hours late. I just have 2 classes back to back that have the same exact class two back to back. So, some people can make it here for the my 11 o'clock class, and then some people make it for this class because maybe they have classes going. So, um, we make sure we are as flexible as possible to accommodate as much as possible. So that's important. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I wholeheartedly agree with that. That's okay, Connor. Yeah, that can be confusing if you're not aware. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started here. All right, let's get going here. Let's do it. Okay, let's get started today. Welcome back to Wednesday, end of the week time today. So today, ladies and um, gentlemen, first of all, as a friendly reminder here, for those of you who just come in here, remember that the test here is due today at 11:59 p.m. Make sure you have everything saved and submitted. That includes the homework there by 11:59 p.m. Make sure you have that all done. Okay. Um, no more extensions. My math lab is working perfectly. I've checked it out the past 2 days. It worked fine. We're okay. Nothing smells. Okay. No problem. Okay, we're all right. Okay, so we're good there. All right. In the meantime, though, um, after monitoring what has been going on, today we're going to be doing a couple of things here today. Um, First and foremost, here we're going to pick up where we left off last time. Last time we talked about section 8.2. We finished off chapter 8, and in chapter 8, I didn't get around to doing maybe one example from that. Um, Yes, we have a follow. Hey, Pippo, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. Hey, Lonely. Okay. Anyway, I guess we'll roll with that. Sure. Um. Oh. Okay. I can't have that kind of language. No, thank you. Um. Anywho, math times. Truth. All right, so let's go ahead and start here from section 8.2. I want to do one more example here from the textbook. It is something that we did discuss here last time, but I didn't get around to talking about a certain something here. So I want to quickly do that one really quick, and then this will kind of tie into what we're going to be doing here a little bit later today. A little bit, and not a super stretch, but in any case, let's go to the big board here, and let's do it. All right. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and do number 24 here. And we're going to talk about finding out sample sizes here in this instance. So let's do 24 here from section 8.2. All right, so a researcher studying ADHD among teenagers obtains a simple random sample of 100 teenagers aged 13 to 17 and asks them whether or not they have ever been prescribed medicine for ADHD. All right, to say that distribution is a sample portion of teenagers who respond no is approximately normal. How many more teenagers aged 13 to 17 does the researcher need to sample if, let's say, 90% of all teenagers aged 13 to 17 have never been prescribed medicine for ADHD? Now, um, this problem here looks complicated. In reality, this is going to just link into something that we talked about on Monday. Now, one of the things that we talked about on Monday is using one of the assumptions here of putting ourselves of a sample proportion into a normal distribution kind of format. Now, the way we want to do that here specifically, that basic assumption that we have to make is that remember that we had this guy here. We had NP times 1 minus P has to be bigger than or equal to 10. Okay? So in order for us to make, use our normal CDF or use our inverse norm or, put it in terms of a normal distribution here, this has to be true. NP times 1 minus P has to be bigger than or equal to 10. Now, in this case, we're going to use this fact here. Our goal is to go ahead and solve for this n here, and that's going to tell us how many people we need in order to basically say, hey, this is a sufficient large enough sample size to make sure that it's approximately normal. Now, in the first example here, it says, let's say 90% of teenagers said they've never been prescribed ADHD medicine. All right, so here we're going to have P is equal to 0.90 to reflect that 90%. And all we're going to do here specifically is we're just going to solve this equation right here that I have up top. Only in this case, I'm not going to do it with the, say, you know, I'm not going to do it with the inequality. We'll just have it as equals, and we'll make it easier. So I'm just going to do like NP times 1 minus P. We're just going to have that equal to 10. We're just going to fill in the blanks and solve for n. This is kind of like a regular algebra problem. So here I'm going to have n times 0.9 times 1 minus 0.9 equals 10. We have n times 0.90. All right, and so we want to go ahead and just do regular math here. We do 0.9 times 0.1. That's going to be 0.09. 0.09 n is equal to 10. We go ahead and divide by 0.09 on both sides. Okay, and so here we're going to get check that one more time. calculator here. Well, 10 divided by 0.09. So we get 111.11. Now, something that is going to be very important here in this instance, just to let you know, something that is going to be very important here in this instance is that what we want to do in these problems here is we want to go ahead and round up. So one of the things that you'll have to keep in mind here is in this problem, in these type of problems here, note we're going to round up. Okay, so round up here in this instance. So if we have 111.11, I'm going to round that up to 112. Okay, doesn't matter how small that decimal is, we still got to round up to 112. Okay, so having said that, essentially we have one more part to go here. Now, the other part here in this instance is basically saying, okay, we have already taken a sample of 100 teenagers. How many more past the 100 do we need to actually to a whole number? Yes, yes, JD, yes, that's correct. So always round up to the next whole number there. That's correct. All right. So in this case here, we want to take this one more extra step here. Since we already have sampled 100 teenagers, how many more do we need? Well, we take 112 and we're just going to subtract by that 100. And so here we just need 12 more here in order to basically find our proper sample size with a 90% P. So if P is equal to 90%, we just need 12 more 112 teenagers to satisfy those conditions. All right, and part B is pretty much the same. Part B is just you set P is equal to 0.95. All right, that's all part B is. Part B is just basically you set P is equal to 0.95. And you go ahead and you do the same thing as you did this last part. Same formula, same everything. You'll get you'll get a different answer, of course. But again, nothing different as what you did from before. Okay, any questions about that? Any questions about that? Hopefully that is pretty straightforward. That's the last example I kind of want to show off here from section 8.2. That's it is something that will pop up here in just a second, but again in just a second. But at least you know how to kind of use it in this context here for sample proportions. So, all right, good stuff. Let's go ahead and move on then to the newest chapter, newest section here. So what we're going to be doing here in this chapter, in chapter 9, in these couple of sections, is we're going to be talking about confidence intervals. Okay. Now you're probably saying, well, what are confidence intervals? What are they going to be used for? Now, let me go really quick here to a website. Now, so I'm going to go to Real Clear Politics. Now, mind you, I'm not going to be talking about politics, all right? But we will be talking about one thing that is related to politics here, where we can be, where it's going to be relevant for what we're going to be doing here today, and that is polling. All right, so polling here is pretty important here in terms of politics. Okay, you could see, well, how much support does one candidate have compared to another, whatever the case may be. Polling here is, of course, something that happens during election time, or again, like, say, job approval of the current president, whatever you want. We're not going to talk about, like, specific politics here, but what I do want to point out here specifically is, like, saying, let's say we're talking about President Biden's job approval. So one of the things that's important here says, okay, do you approve of what President Biden's doing in office? And people will say yes, and people say no. Whatever. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you ask a bunch of people. If you notice here how the surveys place does it, notice to say, let's take this survey here. It took a sample of 1,259 registered voters. All right, 50% said, yeah, they approve, 43% said they disapprove. And there's a certain spread with it. And that's what these confidence intervals that we're going to talk about are also going to reflect, is something along these lines here. Now, to kind of go along with that, we want to take, of course, the sample here, the 1,259, and we want to extrapolate that to the general population. Is 50 and 43 going to be accurate? I mean, not exactly, of course, because 1,259 people can't speak for, say, 350 million people. That's pretty absurd. But there is going to be a margin of error associated with that, right? So if it's 50%, well, you can plus or minus by some kind of percentage. Same thing with disapproval. You can plus or minus by some kind of percentage, that margin of error. So that's what we're going to explore here, is that we're going to look at an interval here. We're going to actually think about how confident we are about all the values in that interval. And of course, there's going to be a margin of error associated with that interval. And we can that and then we can extrapolate that to a population if necessary. Says, okay, we're confident up to this point here that it's going to be between this percentage and this percentage, that let's say President Biden has this amount of approval or whatever. Okay, so that's essentially what we're going to be looking at here today. Now, to kind of set this up here, let's go back here for just a second. We're going to use the same things we just talked about here in section 8.2 on Monday. All right, so we're going to use the proportion stuff that we just talked about here. We're going to use it once again. So just as a friendly reminder about what we talked about on Monday was the population proportion. We said, okay, P is the population proportion, and P hat here is going to be the sample proportion, i.e., let's say, again, the X would be the amount of people who said yes to our question, in quotation marks, and N here being the sample size. How many people did we ask at the end of the day? Well, let's take a look at number 2. Number 2 says, what assumptions must we take for constructing a confidence interval for the population proportion P? Okay, now the assumptions here that we can make in this case to construct a confidence interval is going to be fairly familiar to what we just talked about here in that last example. Notice we have NP times 1 minus P is bigger than or equal to 10. So we have that. Okay, so very similar to what we talked about before. This is P hat instead of P, but still pretty much the same. And then in letter B, we have the sample size here is less than or equal to 5% of the population size. Okay, so one of the things that is actually very interesting is that you don't want to actually pick a too large of a sample size. Too large of a sample size will actually be less beneficial than a smaller sample size. Now the reason is because if we have it bigger than, say, that 5%, then you could potentially run into issues where the sample itself could be influenced by bias. So you want to not make it too big where it could be influenced by bias. All right, and it could be you could run into trouble in terms of the validity of the results. So there's a metric there of using it less than 5% of the population, so you get a small enough sample size, but not going too large. Okay. All right. So we have that. There we go. All right. Now, let's take a look at what's going on here next. How do we construct a confidence interval for a population proportion? All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use a one prop z int to determine the confidence interval, and we'll discuss how to do that here together on the calculator. We can determine the margin of error, which we'll go ahead and see here when we do our example. Again, we'll also talk about the point estimate here, and we can find that margin of error. And more importantly here, probably what we want to be looking at here is we want to look at here the interpretation. Okay, so what we want to do here for these confidence intervals is we want to interpret them. What exactly do they mean? Right? It's just that at the end of the day, it looks like a bunch of numbers, but what do the numbers mean in the context of the problem? All right. So we're going to be looking at that there for the example that we're going. before we move on here, are there any questions? Any questions so far? Any questions so far at all? Nope. Hopefully all you ladies are okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on here. Okay, so let's take a look here at the question we want to do. All right, so the question that we're going to do here, this is going to be on page 403. No, that's fine. Take notes. That's the idea, that's the idea, JD. I have no problem with you taking notes whatsoever. Just at anytime, ladies, if you say, hey, you need to stop me for a moment because I'm going too fast or I'm speaking too fast, stop me and ask. Okay, that's perfectly fine. You stop me, ask me a question. Doesn't matter what kind of question it is. I'm here to answer that for you. So again, I'm here to help as much as I can. Okay? All right. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. Okay. What am I drinking today? Today is some veggie juice. Today is veggie juice. I'm on the health. Gotta be on the healthy kick here with 20 vegetable varieties and 4 fruits, all 100% juice. Holy moly, that's a lot of stuff, all wrapped into one. Dang. I mean, look, I'm gonna read this off here. Read this off of exactly what's in this drink. Okay. So they give me a whole list of it, right? So it's it sounds like an ad. Um, it says carrot, a spinach, sweet potato, lettuce, red bell pepper, green bean, broccoli, kale, celery, pumpkin, green bell pepper, Napa cabbage, asparagus, komatsuna, ashitaba, parsley, watercress, cabbage, radish, Japanese honewort, apple, white grape, lemon, and acerola. There you go. That is 24 different fruits and vegetables all wrapped into one very convenient vegetable thing. Cabbage, what's wrong with cabbage? What's wrong with cabbage? Come on. Cabbage isn't bad. Like Brussels sprouts, right? Brussels sprouts are like mini cabbages. They're really good. Brussels sprouts, mini cabbages, pretty tasty. You fry them a little bit, put some pepper on it. Actually, is pretty outstanding. Salt, little pepper. There you go. Got yourself some wonderful, nice, nice roasted mini cabbages there. There you go. Brussels sprouts. There you go. I know you don't agree, but it's like, it's not bad. It's not bad. Okay, it's not bad. All right, that's fair. My favorite vegetable. Oh boy, there's a lot of them. Um, well, if there's a favorite vegetable I have, mushrooms are high on my list. Mushrooms are really good. I like mushrooms a lot. So mushrooms are pretty high on my list. Kale is pretty good. I like kale. I know it's not easy to get kale because kale is pretty expensive. So broccoli, ooh, broccoli's good. I love broccoli. Um, Definitely a big fan of broccoli and spinach. Spinach, absolutely 100% spinach. Spinach. Give me spinach. That's really tasty. Yum yum yum. So, what about yours, JD? What's your favorite veggie? What's everybody's favorite veggie? I should ask. Everybody have a favorite vegetable? You guys mull on that while I'm doing number 27, because that's our example that we're going to be doing here. So let's do number 27 here together, and you guys got to think about your favorite vegetable while I'm doing it. All right. All right. So a random sample. Think about your favorite veggie while I'm doing this. All right. A random sample of 1,003 adult Americans was asked, "Do you pretty much think televisions are a necessity or a luxury you could do without?" Of the 1,003 adults surveyed, 521 indicated that televisions are a luxury they could do without. Okay, now we're going to do letter C here. We're going to construct and interpret a 95% confidence interval. All right, for the population proportion of adult Americans who believe that televisions are a luxury they could do without. All right, so maybe bell peppers. That's fair. Bell peppers are good. Um, okay, so what we're going to need here specifically is we're going to use, again, we're going to use a calculator function called one prop znth, okay? That's what we're going to use here. All right, and we'll talk about this here in just a second. But we're going to need some information here first, actually. Let me start with the information, then I'll do one prop znth. So some information we're going to need here first is we're going to need x and we're going to need n. Now, if you remember here from the handout, x is the number of people who said yes, and n here is going to be the number of people we asked, our sample size. So can anybody answer me here really quick here? What is x going to equal to? Okay, and what is n going to equal to? So what's x equal to and what is n equal to? All right, good. I like the combo of those answers there. N is definitely 1,003. And x here is going to be 521. That's correct. 521, 521. Oh, that's okay. That happens. All right, we're a human. All right. But that's right. So 520. We asked people, okay, do you need a TV or not? Do you think TV is a luxury? 521 people said, yeah, I think it's a luxury. I don't think we don't really need a TV. Out of the 1,003 people that we asked overall. Okay, so these are the first two numbers that we absolutely need here in this process. Now, the next thing that we also need here in this process is our confidence level. All right. So we're going to have our confidence level here, or our C level. So our confidence level here is 95%. All right, that's how confident we want to be, is 95% confident. Or again, we want 0.95. Okay, so we want the decimal equivalent here because again, it is a percentage, so we always want to use the decimal equivalent here in this case. All right, so you'll see this confidence level 95%, 0.95. Now I'm going to use these three things here. Yeah, that's cool. That's not a problem. That's why I say, hey, that happens. It happens. So I would never hold it against you. We're only human, and we mess up more times than we actually succeed. So, okay. So we're going to use this one prop znth here. All right. And let's go ahead and do this together here with the information that we have here on screen. Okay. Make sure you have your calculator out here. We're going to go ahead and do this together here. And we're going to see, hopefully everybody will get the same result here. put it together at the end. All right, so the first thing that we want to do here is I want you to go ahead and hit the stat key here. So go ahead and hit the stat key here, okay? And we're going to go over to tests. Okay, so we're going to go over to tests right here. All right. Now, very, very important here. We're going to go to option A. Okay, now notice this says one prop z int. int represents interval. Okay, so it's not the test here. They look similar, but we're going to go up to, oops, like that. We're going to go up to letter A here, which says one prop z int, and then we're going to go ahead and hit enter there. Okay. So let's enter in our numbers here, okay, appropriately. I'll just go ahead and delete this stuff out here. So let's put the x here. The x here is 521. The n here is 1003. So that's what we're going to talk about. Those are the two numbers we talked about here. And then our confidence level is 95%, so 0.95. And then we'll go ahead and hit calculate. All right, and so this is what you should see here on your screen. All right, so before we move forward here, I want to make sure that everyone here, all you ladies, have exactly what I have up here on my screen on your calculator. Go ahead and type done in the chat if you have that. If you have this on your screen on your calculator. The confidence level is 0.95. So that's this C level here, JD. Okay. Hopefully all you ladies have this in your calculator here. All right. Done? Okay. Wonderful. All right. Good stuff. All right. So now that you have this in your calculator here, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at the results here, and let's talk about what each part means, all right? So first of all, the very first thing that you see up top here is going to reflect our confidence interval. Okay, so this indeed is our confidence interval here. We're going to come back to this guy here in just a moment, but talk about a couple other things. Excuse me. Okay, so this is our confidence interval. This is our 95% confidence interval from 0.48852 to 0.55036, again, 48.852% to 55.036% is what this is reflecting. Now, the other part here is this p hat that you see right underneath. Now, this p hat here is basically let's say 51944, okay? This here is your point, what we call our point estimate, okay? So this is what we call our point estimate. Essentially, if we're going to construct any type of confidence interval, okay, we need to start from somewhere, right? Because what we have is we have two things going on. You have the confidence interval, but we also have a margin of error, but we need like a middle point about where we're starting from. Because remember how margin of error works. We either add by the margin of error and we subtract by the margin of error. But the question is, where are we starting from? What are we adding to? And what are we subtracting to in order to get these ends of these confidence intervals? Well, that's where the point estimate comes into play. That's that kind of exact middle ground in this instance. So what this will allow us to do is find that margin of error because we know where the middle of the interval is going to be. And all we have to do is subtract and see exactly what the difference is to get our margin of error. So that's what we're going to get next here. So we're going to use not only our point estimate here, but we can get our margin of error, which will label here MOE for margin of error. And you could get it both ways, meaning to say you could take like your point estimate and you could subtract off the beginning of your intervals. So you could take 0.51944. You could subtract it by let's say the beginning of the interval here, 0.48852. And we could take a look at what our margin of error is. So let's find out what that is right now. Here we have 0.51944 minus 48852. So here we get 0.03092. Okay. Or again, another way to kind of look at this, by the way, is you could also do it this way to get the same answer. By the way, you could take a look at the end of the interval here. So you could do say 0.55036. You could subtract 0.51944. Again, if we're taking the other end of the interval, and you'll get the same exact answer, the same margin of error here. So either way, you're going to end up with the same result here for your margin of error. No matter which way you decide to go, you're just subtracting at the end of the day to get your answer. Okay, so that's margin of error there. Okay, so that's done. All right, fine. That isn't too bad. Now, what is important here specifically, let's take a look at what we have here. What is going to be important here is going to be the interpretation behind this. Okay, so we need to talk about the interpretation of this confidence interval. What exactly does it mean here? Because that's the second half of this question here. Second half of this question says construct and interpret a 95% confidence interval. So it's like, okay, well, what exactly is the meaning here? Now let's take a good look here. And what we can do here specifically in this case is we can look at a template here of what the interpretation of the confidence interval is going to be. Let's take a look at this interpretation. We'll follow along here carefully. We'll get it done. All right. So we could say anything in parentheses here can be changed, by the way. So anything in parentheses as you see here can be changed. It says we are 95% confident. Okay. So that because that was our confidence level. That the proportion of all. Okay, so I underline that because that's the most important part there is the proportion of all, or proportion, whichever way you want to call it. But because we're talking about proportions here, this is a proportion of all, and then we have the context here. Adult Americans who think TV is a luxury is between, and then of course the two values that we found here in our confidence interval. Okay, so between 0.48852 and 0.55036. Okay, so that is how we can go ahead and interpret all these type of confidence intervals when we talk about say a sample proportion here. In this instance is that basically breaks down into the same template over and over and over again for this specific type of problem when we talk about proportions anyway. We'll look at section 9.2, which we'll do next week here. Section 9.2, we're going to talk about another type of confidence interval that has a slightly different meaning here for its interpretation. So we're not going to talk about proportions here in, say, the next section. We'll talk about something different here, and it'll have its own unique interpretation as well. Okay, so there is that. One other thing to keep in mind is that this reflects a 95% confidence. So this is basically saying you're 95% confident, or let's say, to put it in layman's terms, you're 95% sure that the proportion is going to be between this value and this value. Okay, you're 95% sure. It gives you a little bit of leeway because you could be wrong 5% of the time. That's fair. All right. But this also means one other thing, and that's what this note talks about here. It says the higher the confidence level, the wider the confidence interval. So basically what this means is like, let's say I want to be 99% sure. You say, I want to be 99% sure. So I was like, I want to be 99% confident. If I'm going to be 99% confident, then I need to include bigger numbers. I need to have a bigger bubble to be 99% sure. So I'm only wrong 1% of the time. All right. So I need to have a bigger bubble of numbers in order for me to say I'm 99% confident that that between this number and this number that this is true. Okay. So if I say I'm 90% confident, some says, "Oh, I'm 90% confident," then I could be wrong 10% of the time, and then I can have a shorter bubble about where between those two numbers at the end of the day, and I could still be wrong, 10% of the time. So that was weird. All right, sorry about that. All right, I heard some rumbling out there. Like, what? Kind of freaked me out. Okay. Um. Anyway, uh, it's 1:15. Okay. Sure. All right. So, all right. Any questions about that? Yeah, a ghost, right? Remember, it's not a ghost, it's aliens, okay? Aliens. It's always aliens. Okay, what does it mean by wider? Well, let's say I change this up a little bit then. So I'll go back and change it, but this time I'll change the confidence level of that same problem. So let me change it to 99%, okay, for example, JD. So if I change it to 99%, take a look at how wide the numbers are now. So now it goes from 47.8% or 47.9% to 56% instead of 48.8% to 55%. Note that it is wider. Okay, there are more numbers included in that confidence interval if I want to be 99% sure. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about there when I mean by wider. And including more values in that confidence interval. It's a it's a cow. What? Wait, what? I'm so confused. I'm so confused. Moo. Fair. uh, you guys are nuts today. All you ladies are nuts today. Guys drive me crazy in a good way. All right. Alrighty. Let's take a look here at the next part. All right. So that is the question there. That is the example there. Are there any more questions about number 27? Any more questions about number 27 here before we move on? Hopefully that isn't too bad. I don't think it's too bad. It takes a little. It doesn't take too much to get used to. Honesty. That's oh, that's what I want to find. Let's go to the next question. Here. All right. So the next one we're going to talk about here is going to talk about finding a necessary sample size. So that's the next question on your handout here. Question 4, how do we find the necessary sample size? All right. Now what we're going to have happen here is, let's say we want to conduct a study, right? And we have certain expectations we want to follow. We want to have a particular margin of error. Okay, we want to have maybe we have previous data or maybe we have no data. And I want to find a particular sample size that's going to satisfy the requirements in order for me to put together this confidence interval. Well, there's going to be two cases involved depending on what kind of information that we have here. So to find the necessary sample size, in case number one, this is if P is given to you. So if you're given a P here from like say a previous study, then if you're given a P here and you have an expectation of a margin of error, then the sample size here is equal to P times 1 minus P times, now this is going to look a little weird. We have this weird notation here of Z and alpha over 2 over E squared. So I wrote that in words here down here. So basically this means the sample size equals P times 1 minus P, so times the critical value over the margin of error quantity squared. Now, one of the things we haven't talked about, but what is relevant here in the chapter 10, to some extent, though maybe not a super large extent for what we'll be doing anyway, but is talking about the critical value. Okay, so the critical value is not something you can find here via the calculator. The critical value is something that you can find here via the textbook, however. All right, so in the critical value, it'll be associated. The critical value here is a particular value associated with the confidence level. Okay, so this can be found specifically here, and I'm going to scroll down here for just a second. Is that these major critical values here can be found on page 396. All right, so on page 396, you can find these critical values for 90, 95, and 99%. Or there's a bigger table here for these critical values that's on the bottom of table number 7 in the back of the textbook here. So I just wrote these down here to reference the 90, 95, and 99. So a critical value associated with 90% would be 1.645, 95% would be 1.960, and 99% would be 2.575. All right, so there's no need to memorize these. Obviously, you don't need to memorize these. They don't have, again, I just want you to be able to use them in the appropriate formula here and be able to get a result back. Okay. The second case here, that's what happens when P is not given. So if you're given nothing and you want a particular margin of error, you're just going to have n is equal to 0.25 times the critical value of the margin of error quantity squared. 0.25 they get, basically they cut it down 50-50. So that says 50%, 50%. So 50% times 50% is 0.25. That's where they get the 0.25 from in this case. Okay, so let's take a look here at our problem here, which we're going to do together. We're going to do number 39. All right, so let's do 39 here together, and let's see what we get. All right, so let's take a look at football fans. So a TV sports commentator wants to estimate the proportion of Americans who follow professional football. What sample size should be obtained if he wants to be within 3 percentage points with 95% confidence if he uses a 2010 estimate of 53% obtained from a previous poll, or B, he doesn't use any prior estimates whatsoever? Okay, so let's take a look at how we could do that. All right, so we're going to go back to our little guy here. Write down some information, of course. Oh, it's kind of hidden right now. Back here is fine. All right, so in this case here, we're given a couple of things here in this problem for 39. Number one is that we have a particular margin of error. Now, you have to be a little bit careful here about this one. I will point this one out. Oh, I didn't mean to. Okay. So our margin of error here, according to the problem here, is going to be 3%. So this is going to be 3%, but this needs to be represented as a decimal. Okay, so you need 0.03 here to represent 3%. So everything with these percentages, they need to be represented as a decimal appropriately. And that includes the margin of error here. So a common mistake I see is people just putting in the number 3, just hoping that they get it right, when in reality they need to put in the decimal equivalent here, which is 0.03. We're also given a P here, and the same thing applies. We're given 53%, so that's going to be 0.53. Again, that will reflect that 53% we're given here in this problem. Now, also to go along with this, in our case here, we want to construct, in this case, a 95% confidence. So when we want to construct a 95% confidence, we need to find the critical value that goes along with 95%. And so the crit value here, I'll just write crit value here. The critical value here, if you look on the table here, we'll go back to the guy here for just a second. 95% is 1.960 is going to be our critical value here in this instance. All right. So now we're just going to plug in these values here into our formula, and we're going to see what we get. So let's give it a try. Yeah. There we go. So let's plug it into our formula that we have here to find our sample size. So let's do that. So n here is equal to 0.53 times 1 minus 0.53 times our critical value here, which is 1.96, divided by 0.03 quantity squared. I'm going to use this and put this on the calculator here. Let's do this out. We have 0.53 times 1 minus 0.53, and we'll multiply that 1.96 divided by 0.03, and we'll square that. And enter, and there we go. We get 1063.27. Or again, just like we talked about before, we want to round up here once again. Again, round up. So here, this is going to be 1064. So 1064 people is what we're going to need to actually do, get this to work out properly. Okay. Let's take a look at, that's part A. Any questions about part A? Any questions about part A? None? Okay. Nay. Nay, indeed. All right. Let's look at letter B then. Okay, so letter B here in this instance is going to be if we're given no estimates here. So if we're given no estimates here for letter B, then we're just going to follow the second one here, which is going to be 0.25 times everything else, which is just the same. We're going to have 0.25. We're going to keep all the other stuff the same, of course, since there's no P in this case. So 1.96 divided by 0.03. And we're going to go ahead and square it. And we're going to see what we get here for n. Let's see what happens. So we're going to have 0.25. Calculate it. 5.96. 3. Quantity squared. And so here in this case we get 1067.11. Okay. Add that on. Wrong one. So 1067.11. Or again here in this case 1068. Okay. So they're pretty close here in this case, and the reason why they're very close is because we had 53%. So with 53%, that's pretty close to 50%, which is where the 0.25 comes from. But yeah, if it's like a bigger p-value or it's a smaller p-value, these numbers here will be much further apart. So whether or not you're given a p or not, so just depends. Okay. Any questions about that? That hopefully is not too bad. Hopefully that's not too bad. Easy, easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, and that, in a nutshell, is the end of section 9.1. All right, good stuff. Does anybody have any more questions that they wish to ask? I'm doing great. That's a fair question. I'm doing great. Absolutely. Honestly, a little tired, but I'm doing great for the most part. Am I sick? No, I'm not sick. It's just I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I mean, I do have allergies every year. I mean, mind you, I think a lot of people get hay fever, so you can't really say that's being sick necessarily. But um, yeah, I don't know what it was, to be honest. Is like I went to bed actually really late. Um, yeah, I went to bed at like 3 in the morning, and then yeah, I'm not sick. Wipes nose. Um, I went to bed at like 3 in the morning, and then I woke up at like 6:30, and then my body didn't want to go back to sleep. So okay, I mean, I might take a nap or something, but if that's what my body wants, then that's what my body wants to do. Okay. Sometimes it does whatever it wants to do. So I'm like, all right, I'll just have to run with it. Any other questions? It's a little cold around here, so maybe I should probably turn up the heat a little bit. So, little little chilly. Can't even stay up that late. Me too. My body wants to, so I have to run with it. Trust me, I don't. I don't. I want to get a nice 8 hours of sleep. And my body is like, no, I don't wanna. And I'm like, I don't wanna. You know how it is. You know how it is. Like, really? You really gonna do that to me? You gonna do me dirty like this? Yes, that's basically what it's doing. Like, how dare you do me dirty like this? How could you? Yeah, me with the test. Which reminds me, of course, just as a friendly reminder, ladies and gentlemen, I'll go ahead and do. Which reminds me, ladies and gentlemen, that the well, ladies and gentlemen, that the test is due at 11:59 tonight. Be sure to save and submit before that time. There'll be no more extensions and stuff. It'll just be you and the test and the homework and whatever. Some of you have already done it. That's great. Some of you are in the process of doing it, so that's great. I like where this is going here. But again, by 11:59 today. Okay, 11:59 p.m. here today. All right, so that is in 10 hours and 26 minutes. All right. We have 10 hours and 26 minutes to get it done. All right? Get that stuff done. All right. Good stuff. All right? All right, everybody. Thank you so very much here for coming on out here to the stream once again. I appreciate everyone taking the time out. Thank you again. All right. Thanks very much, everybody. All right. thank you for taking the time out of your day to try and to the being you, being the good. I could say being the good student, but that sounds cheesy. Just being you. I think that sounds better. All right. All right, Julia. That's more cheesy. All right, maybe that's fair. All right, Julia, have yourself a wonderful weekend. Everyone, have yourself a great weekend. Good luck on your test tonight. All right, we'll see you. Yeah, I'll see you on Discord or Monday. Yeah, absolutely. I'll probably be on Discord a little bit, or I'll see you on Monday. Absolutely, 100%. Good luck on your test if you haven't finished it. All right, remember everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay sane. Have yourself a great one, everyone, and we'll see you next week. All right? Send those memes on Discord. I got plenty of them to go around. Trust me on that. But first things first, JD, do that test. Test first, then memes. All right? I would rather meme 100% than the meme a 0% meme. So, or, yep. So try your best, do your best. Then we'll have memes or dreams. We're gonna do that. Yes, yes. Priorities. All right, take care, everybody. We will see you all later. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Yeah. Bye.